Hello, peeps. This is the Hillbilly Harford. How are you this morning? What a frosty morning. Been taking some lambs to the market this morning after I didn't take none last week. And seeing all these farming protests were going on. Fantastic. Fantastic job, boys. I can't say well enough to you. Direct action, non-violent, brilliant. Now, what we're going to talk about today is something I found out a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, but 3 or 4 years ago. And I noticed the media had been hiding it. Now, what it is about Scottish farming and agriculture. They had 33 million taken out of their ring-fenced agricultural budget 2 years in a row. And it just randomly took out of it. Now, Wales had a similar thing at this time. And I remember Drakeford and Sturgeon were working together. And when I looked into it earlier, when I started doing these videos a year ago, they'd been paying for each other's trees to be planted. So they were using huge amounts of public money to plant trees for each other. They were working together, really, trying to destroy farming. Drakeford and that little imp in Scotland, what's her name? Can't remember her name now. She's not there anymore. Anyway, so when I looked at this originally, there was 33 million missing. Then they went to 66 million. And then there was loads of things how it was going to be paid back and because it was ring fenced. But what actually happened, I saw Andrew Niel interviewing a Scottish minister about 2 or 3 months ago. And he said all this money that you're about to see in this video had been used to pay wage rises for the civil service. That's where it had gone. Everybody knows where it went, but you'll see some serious lying here in a minute. The content in this video is intended for comedic purposes only. The views expressed in this video are not to be taken as factual information or a representation of my personal beliefs. I am critically reviewing the info and videos I show as examples. Now, this woman is telling fibs, allegedly. And this guy from the civil service is telling fibs, allegedly. I would not trust these two as far as I could throw them. They know where that money went. Everybody knows that that money went now to pay wage rises for civil servants. But you listen to this now. Remember, they're having a farm protest outside Holyrood today in Scotland. So good luck to you, boys. Ask them where this money went. So let's watch this video, okay? Here we are. Should come on in a second.
The chamber, John Swinney, following a question from me, said that the 33 million from the BEW funding that he deferred when he was Finance Secretary would be returned to the agricultural rural budget. He didn't give a timescale. He said in future years. Now, we know what Shona Robeson, the Finance Secretary, said on Thursday with regards to the financial black hole and the pressures facing Scotland in terms of taxation, so cutting spending or increasing taxation. What do you have a timeline that 33 million will be returned by?
I don't have that definitive timeline yet, but I will, of course, be continuing discussions with the Deputy First Minister as to when that would be returned to the portfolio. But I think I just want to be absolutely clear as well that that money is ring-fenced. It has to come back to the portfolio. It can't be spent in other areas. So it will be returned to the portfolio, but it's the details on the timeline that are still to be determined.
Just for clarity, because I don't know where this money goes. Has it been allocated to something else but needs to be found again? I don't suppose you'd know the answer, but it looks to me as though if it's sitting somewhere, it can just come back. But has it been used and it needs to be found and returned?
Yeah, I'll hand over to George who can explain more of the detail in relation to that.
The removal of that money from the Rye portfolio allowed the Scottish Government overall to reduce its spending and achieve a balanced budget. So it's not like the money is sort of sitting in a bank account somewhere, but we have the commitment already expressed by the previous Deputy First Minister and again by the...
Let me just come in here. It's not sitting in a bank account anywhere because they'd spent it on civil service wage rises. They knew at the time they were answering this that they'd spent it on civil service wage rises, and they were lying to the Scottish Parliament. This is a parliamentary committee that was questioning them.
The current Deputy First Minister that ring-fence money will return to the portfolio in a future year. Now, our central finance colleagues will have the difficult job to find that within the overall Scottish Government budget to make sure that it comes into the portfolio. Of course, as we've already said, we have no certainty over the funding from the UK beyond 2 years out. So we might come to a point not very far down the line where we really, really need that money to come back in to plug a much larger hole.
Okay. That was in a previous financial year, though, so that can't be related.
When is ring-fence not ring-fence? Because if you've taken 33 million out of a ring-fence budget, surely it's not ring-fenced.
Just coming in here again, 33 million was for 1 year. They did the same thing the year after, so it was 60 million. So this was when they were being questioned about the 33 million, but it was actually 60 million. And then because I followed this up, they actually said, oh yeah, we're going to pay it back, but they never did pay it back. And I'm not sure if it's even gone in now.
It helps us, again, as George outlined, I mean, it helps, it's almost like a loan going back to the centre. I don't know, if that's the most adequate way to describe it, which must be returned in future years.
So it's not really ring-fenced?
It is ring-fenced.
It's just not in the budget anymore?
It's different from any other Scottish Government funding, which could move from health to education to transport. This money is allocated for agricultural purposes. It can only be spent on agricultural purposes.
But it wasn't. It was taken out the agriculture budget and spent on something else.
It will come back.
Yeah, but it wasn't it? The 33 million was taken out of the budget to be spent on something else.
It was taken out of the budget. It wasn't spent. As I was trying to explain earlier, it allowed the overall spending of the Scottish Government to be reduced to hit the limits.
So it was used for something other than the agricultural budget, which would suggest it wasn't ring-fenced.
It was offered as a saving, it wasn't spent in another area. I think that's what George is trying to make clear.
It's not very clear. Can I ask?
I'd be happy to follow up with more information and to detail that if that's helpful, but it wasn't spent in any other areas. It was offered as a saving.
It was just not in the agricultural budget, even though it was ring-fenced.
This is why this country is fucked, because of people like this guy here and this woman. This guy here is a slimy git because he knew that he'd spent it on wage rises in the agricultural industry. So the civil service had spent it on themselves. That's why he's been such a slime ball. She knew it also. And they were being questioned by the Scottish committee here, because this is from the Parliament, Scottish Parliament. So, absolute crooks. That's why this country is going to the dogs. That is what is going on. They're full of lying people. Now, things like this get brushed under the carpet, and only people like me find them. Somebody like me who was a bit of an anorak, who was determined not to let this stuff go. Now, I'd like to know what's going up to this present day. I haven't followed it up this last month or two, but this was all supposed to be paid back. I doubt it has. I doubt it has. The actual minister, the bloke that was in charge, Hamza Yousaf, promised to pay it back, but then he got removed, so I don't know if he's even come back. But they spent 66 million of the agricultural ring-fenced money on the wage rises of the civil service, and then lied to Parliament about it. So there we are. Well done to the farmers yesterday and today, and good luck to you in Scotland today. Please share this. We need to get this stuff out there. And please comment, rate and subscribe. All the best. Gaz. Ta-da.